Lately, I've been asking myself a hard question. One I avoided for months, maybe even years. Why does it always feel like my group is ganging up on me? It's subtle. They don't scream. They don't block me out of parties. But somehow, every time we're together, I walk away heavier. Smaller. Less me. Ever felt that? You share an idea, nothing. Someone else repeats it, and they call it brilliant. You make a joke, awkward silence. Someone mocks you, everybody laughs. And when you finally say, guys, that didn't feel good, you hear it. You're too sensitive. Relax, it's just a joke. But it keeps happening. And you keep wondering, am I the problem? Welcome to Unfog You. This space isn't for people who want shallow affirmations. It's for those of us searching for emotional clarity in a world that often gaslights us into confusion. And today, we're going to unpack this silent ache when your group keeps ganging up on you and you don't know whether to fight back, shrink down, or walk away. If this topic already hits close, hit subscribe now. This isn't a one-time conversation. This is the kind of truth we build our future on. Let's begin. Why does it feel like everyone's against me? In psychology, there's a term called emotional exclusion bias. When you felt misunderstood before, even just once, you start noticing similar moments everywhere. But this isn't about overreacting. This is about consistent emotional rejection masked as banter or group dynamics. I remember sitting at a cafe after a group dinner one night. I had barely spoken during the meal because the last time I tried, my words were interrupted or twisted. This time, I thought silence would feel safe. But it didn't. Because silence can't protect you from the loneliness of being unseen. Is it me? Or is it them? This is where self-awareness becomes a double-edged sword. When you care about people, really care, you start by assuming the problem is you. You think, maybe I am annoying. Maybe I do talk too much. Maybe I'm just overthinking. But here's the truth no one tells you. Self-awareness should lead to clarity, not self-erasure. You should be able to say, yes, I get excited and interrupt sometimes. And, no, that doesn't give them the right to humiliate me. You can take responsibility without taking all the blame. One night, I laughed a little too loudly. Someone in the group said, God, you're always trying to be the center of attention. I froze. And for the next 3 weeks, I questioned every word I spoke. Was I trying too hard? Or were they uncomfortable around someone who stopped shrinking? Groups don't need villains to be toxic. All it takes is repeated behavior that leaves one person feeling like loser. Here's what I started to see. My messages in the group chat? Often ignored. My vulnerability? Mocked or met with silence. My ideas? Dismissed until someone else repackaged them. And when I tried to bring it up gently, they'd flip it back on me. You're making drama out of nothing. That's emotional gaslighting. And it's real. It's not about one fight or one bad joke. It's about patterns that slowly convince you that your feelings don't belong. So I started journaling. No emotion. Just facts. Every conversation. Every dynamic. Within weeks, the fog began to lift. It wasn't just my imagination. There was a pattern. And it had a name, emotional minimization. Why we stay even when it hurts. This is the hardest part to admit. Why do we stay in groups that make us feel small? Because it's terrifying to be alone. Because we think, maybe I'm just not strong enough to be loved differently. Because we've been conditioned to normalize discomfort just to belong. And because deep down, we hope it'll change. But here's what staying taught me. Every time I swallowed my voice to protect their comfort, I was training myself to believe that I didn't deserve better. I remember once, I shared an idea I was truly excited about, a new project I'd been building for months. They laughed, called it cute, then moved on. And I sat there, smiling, pretending it didn't sting. But inside, I started building emotional armor made of silence. How clarity begins. Clarity doesn't begin with confrontation. It begins with observation. Who interrupts you the most? Who never checks in unless they need something? Who says just kidding after every insult? When you stop reacting and start recording, you start seeing the emotional blueprint of your group. It's not about making anyone the villain. It's about realizing who's not showing up for you. You don't have to confront right away. You don't even have to leave yet. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Not every disagreement means someone's against you. But if your group always jokes at your expense, never listens when you set boundaries, makes you feel like you're too much or never enough, then you're not in a friendship. You're in emotional competition. In healthy groups, your presence feels safe. They don't always agree with you, but they respect your feelings. They tease you, sure, but never to the point where you go home feeling like a joke. And when you say, "Hey, that hurt," they don't double down. They listen. Once, I finally spoke up. I said, "I don't think I like how this group makes me feel." They laughed. Wow, someone's having a bad day. And just like that, I knew. It wasn't about me being sensitive. It was about them not being safe. So should I be dominating or should I be submissive in the group dynamic? This is where I got stuck for years. When I tried being assertive, they called me too intense. When I stayed quiet, they forgot I was even there. So, what do? You find the middle. Speak from clarity, not from emotion. Don't shout. Don't shrink. Say things like, "I don't find that joke funny. I'd like to finish my point." Let's not make that a pattern. Own your space without burning theirs down. When you learn to hold your emotional ground, you stop asking for validation. And the world starts seeing you as someone with quiet power. Once you gain clarity, you don't need to ghost anyone. You don't need to announce a breakup with your group. Just shift. Talk less. Observe more. Prioritize different connections. Let the group feel your silence not as absence, but as self-respect. And when you're ready, create space for people who see you as you are, not as a version they need you to be. If you've ever walked away from a group gathering feeling hollow, doubting yourself, and wondering why they don't see your worth, you're not alone. And no, you're not the problem. But you are the one who needs to see clearly now. Clarity won't always fix the relationship, but it will fix the way you show up in it. You don't have to dominate. You don't have to disappear. You just have to see, and then choose what kind of connection deserves your presence. If this message resonated with you, take a breath. You've already started the process of unfogging. Now go one step further. Drop a comment below. I'm choosing clarity over confusion. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. This space is for people like you, people who are brave enough to question, feel, and rise. One final thought. You're not dramatic. You're not difficult. And you're definitely not the problem. You're just done being in places that confuse your worth. And now, you're on your way home to yourself.